let's go. The road get rocky again, chillin' just nod. Ain't no book on this, I had to grind. But the book from the Lord in my mind. Know the world to get caught outside, so I cook in my court.
Hello and welcome to AGthechampion. We'll be doing F123 Myteam career mode. I'm starting much earlier this time than I usually do when I do this series, but at least it means that I'll get to finish at least one season before the next game comes out. We've gotten the Alfa Romeo cake livery from Belgium during one of the events, and this will be the car that we'll be using for the first 2 seasons of the Myteam career mode. I decided to partner up with Felipe Massa, creating such a good dream team with the Ferrari power unit, of course. I'm excited to see how the car performs this year. We should be a top tier team fighting for the midfield positions, I think the top 5 if not the podiums, towards the end of the season. But we're starting here in Saudi Arabia instead of Bahrain because of that infamous Bahrain glitch where everything is literally foggy at night. I'm absolutely loving the neon green helmet that I designed with a bit of purple and some white to neutralize the colors. Off we go for the first quali session, the first lap that I've taken in this car. I've chosen a low downforce high speed setup. I'm really going to struggle in this sector here, and I might actually bump into some of the walls, but down the straights this car will be rapid. It'll be great, especially once I get DRS on the last sector into the last corner. Here we go into the last straight, a very great overtaking point. I slow down, try to bring the car as close to the apex as possible, but I completely miss it and I tap the wall, breaking my front wing. I have not even completed a lap and I've got damage. I will just have to push until the end and see where this time takes me. Second place, 3/10 behind the Red Bull. That's not too bad considering I actually hit the wall. But I'll try and set an even faster time after I fixed my wing towards the end of the session when things cool down a bit. But on second thought, looking at the times, I actually might be able to survive. There's no need to waste tires since I set a really quick lap. Low downforce of course, top speed is the main target here. The DRS zones will be very powerful, overtaking will be easy on the straights. It does mean that I'll suffer in the corners a bit, but there's so much time to be made up, especially on that last straight. On this second part of qualifying, I did set a decent time, and as I was going to set an even quicker one, I ended up hitting the rear left, finding myself in the wall as I lost the rear end. I actually managed to slow down in time for this corner. I didn't lock up, but as I was accelerating out of this corner, I stepped into the throttle a bit too hard and I lost the rear end, completely compromising my corner, and once I went off it was over. But that's qualifying down for me, unfortunately, but I just hope that we'll be in a decent position for tomorrow's race, despite the retirement.
We're here today on the shores of the Red Sea in the lower Hijaz Mountains to visit one of the newest circuits on the Formula One calendar. We're in Jeddah, home to what we all hope is going to be a thrilling Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. So let's take a look at the topographical map of the Jeddah Street Circuit. As you can see, a number of challenging corners for the drivers to master here. We'll see just how much the teams have benefited from their time spent in practice this weekend. And like many street circuits, this track has the potential to punish drivers that get it wrong. Let's hope we avoid any safety cars today. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Charles Leclerc lines up on pole position, and the smooth operator Carlos Sainz completes the front row. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Verstappen, Hamilton, Perez, Russell, Fernando Alonso, Massa, Bottas, the owner driver, Norris, Gasly, Stroll, Ocon, Magnussen, Albon, Tsunoda, Hülkenberg, Oscar Piastri, Joe, Sargent, and Nick de Vries. That's it then, it's time to go racing as we head down trackside for today's race. And I'm delighted, as always, to introduce Anthony Davidson, who'll be taking you through all the action alongside me today. Now, let's talk about Charles Leclerc.
Well, it was a really impressive lap in qualifying to get pole position, but are they going to be able to hold on to the lead into the first corner with so many quick starters around them? Besides that, of course, any kind of turn one incident could completely turn the race on its head. Let's keep our fingers crossed everyone can get through in one piece.
The soft tires are probably the best ones to start on, because there's a high likelihood of a safety car, and if there's a safety car I can just switch onto the hards and go till the end.
The formation lap gets underway here in Saudi Arabia, and every driver will be looking to settle in for the race ahead, making sure their car's ready for the battle once the lights go out.
Valtteri Bottas and my teammate Felipe have decided to choose the medium tires, so I actually might be able to overtake them before the first corner, or at least the first lap. I would like to make the most
So
of
as
these
all the
soft
cars
tires. I
reform the
think I'll
grid,
risk
the
it all.
drivers will be hoping to get a strong start. They'll want to earn some valuable points from today's race, with final communications being done with their race engineers, ensuring the planned strategies are all in place.
Alright, so all the cars are lined up. We're about to start the first race of the season. We'll be able to see how good this car actually is and how it compares to the top teams. Lights out, off we go. A very good start actually, just a bit of wheel spin, but I seem to have gotten such a massive jump over the other cars, and this doesn't usually happen. Take it easy down the inside of Alonso. Whoa, the rear steps out quite a bit. I think I was too quick around there, and when I slowed down, I locked the rear tires. Thankfully, the car did not spin around. I'm ahead of him now, and I'm now chasing for the top 5 positions. It seems my teammate Massa also got a very good start, and he's on the medium tires. The harder the compound, the longer it takes to warm up. I'm actually impressed. Maybe we've got a good car for this season. I actually tapped the wall on the right. Completely going off the track, but thankfully the track limits, I've reduced the rules a bit. It's not going to be as harsh as real life, so I can go off a few times before it starts to warn me. I nearly lose the rear end there. I have to counter steer to prevent myself from going into the wall. There's a gap of a second between me and the car behind and me and the car ahead. I completely cut the corner because I understeer like crazy. Again, I have a low downforce setup, which means that I will struggle on corners like those, but on the straight I will be rapid. I think I'm now reeling in the car ahead. This corner shouldn't be too difficult so long as I slow down in time, but now here comes the long straight that I've been talking about. The gap has increased by quite a bit, but it'll now start to reduce. I'm not even sure if I'll be able to catch up to Perez, maybe after a pit stop, or if the cars ahead actually start fighting. But wow, I really had to correct the car around this corner because the back end was starting to slide. Yeah, as I was saying, these cars that are ahead of me, the Mercedes, two Ferraris, which are probably up there with Verstappen. These are the top teams, so I doubt I'll be able to catch up to them this race. Maybe towards the end of the season, I hope to be battling for championships for the first time in an F1 career mode, because usually I start with the lower tier cars, or I allow my Myteam car to be slow, so that I can build up the season. But I don't think I've actually finished a full season. We've just seen my teammate become invisible as he tries to overtake Fernando Alonso. That's quite interesting. Now we're watching a fight at the back of the pack, but quite a lot of the cars actually became invisible around this corner. Really strange AI behavior there. Now I'm about 1.2 seconds behind the car in front, but now as we get to these tricky bits with the corners, I now start to lag behind. Once we get to the straight, I catch up, but the cars ahead of me are just a bit too fast. We'd need a safety car to be able to get to them. I'm not really getting closer to the cars ahead, but at the same time, the cars behind are now starting to fall back because they're fighting with each other. So I'm kind of in no man's land over here. There's no one directly ahead of me, but it's good because now I can manage. I can think of strategy. I can now set decent lap times so that I don't have to wear out my tires trying to defend from other cars. The teammate is now trying to overtake Fernando Alonso. He's going around the outside. Will it work? Yes, he's far enough ahead, but Fernando is trying to stick in the inside line, but nope. Felipe carried enough speed around that outside line. I love seeing our cars, both of our cars in the top positions, Felipe and I. If we keep this up, we can get a lot of points, and that will help us in the battle against the rest of the midfield. I think I'm saying this a bit too early because I could find myself inside the wall. Yeah, inside, but that makes sense. Hamilton sets the fastest lap. He does not want Perez ahead of him, but Perez is actually sticking close by. Now back to the midfield battle. This is quite exciting. There's a lot of overtaking, again because of those long straights. Too wide, two rows of cars actually, following each other through the corners. Up ahead though, there seems to be a bit of fighting, because Perez has just set the fastest lap of this race. He seems to be closing on Hamilton now. Will he make an overtake? There he is, actually almost alongside. Now he's in the slipstream of Hamilton, plus he has DRS. The two Ferraris are fighting with each other. The front is actually closely packed. I have no idea if any overtakes will be made. The Ferraris are side by side as they head into the first corner. Perez does not overtake Hamilton just yet. But this is actually good for me because the more they fight, the more I catch up. So I highly encourage it. Please give me a chance to catch up. I lose the rear end, almost spinning the car twice. That was actually a lucky escape because not often am I able to actually catch it. We've gotten quite the scare. I'd like to blame this on a lack of downforce, but it's me accelerating a bit too early and the brake bias might be a bit off because the rear end is sliding when I step on the brakes. For a moment I went over the curb and ended up just going straight with the curb because the floor of the car was just stuck. I'm really playing with danger over here. I can end up in a wall real soon.
5.8 seconds.
Yes, thanks for the reminder. I know the car ahead is quite far, and sliding around has not helped me because I've lost a lot of time. The cars ahead are even closer than before, 4 of them fighting with each other. One of the Ferraris has gotten far. Now Hamilton is trying to overtake one of the Ferraris. Perez has come into the mix. Almost 3 wide actually. As we go into the first corner, the Ferrari manages to maintain his position. I've chosen to go into the pit this lap to change my tires. I think I'll run on hard tires until the end. About 12 or so laps. A safety car right now would be useful. My teammate is actually catching up with me, so that's one of the reasons I wanted to pit in. We're headed towards the last corner. Before I go into the pit, I take a very wide line, locking the front left almost. My teammate is getting ever so closer, so I might as well just come in, get a fresh set of tires and get a jump over the other cars. An undercut would be good. I'll be able to warm up the tires and get some performance out of them. Slow down so that I do not end up breaching the speed limit. The rest of the cars are still fighting with each other, the ones in front. The Red Bull seems to have gotten ahead of a Ferrari. The Mercedes still pursuing the Ferrari. I doubt this train of cars will end. If anything, they'll bring even more cars into this fight. First pit stop of the season, let's see how quick it'll be. Not bad, that's pretty decent, although I'm on medium tires instead of hard. Yes, I had chosen mediums, but they should last until the end. Now my priority is to warm up these tires, that's why I'm weaving all over the place. It seems like there's an incident, but it's clear now. Albon is out of the session. I don't know if that's mechanical or like a mechanical failure, his engine blowing. Yes, he's parked on the side on the right. Wow, engine failures this early in the season. It's only the first race and I fly over the curb. Completely missing this one also, this corner. I really need to watch my track limits and keep the car on track, but I'll blame it on the cool tires. I'm actually glad I'm not using the hard tires because those will take a very long, maybe like 2 laps to be able to warm up. And then for most of the race I'll be very slow, lacking grip, and you're seeing the way I'm sliding all over the place, especially the first corner. 1 lap later and the cars that were on the soft tires are now starting to come in. Wonder where I'll end up once all of the cars pit in. I really hope that I've gained some time by going in early. A few laps later and I'm in P8. My teammate has just entered the pit, so I'll push as hard as I can so I end up ahead of him, because he was behind me by less than 2 seconds the last time we were here. Ideally I should get a decent advantage over him because my tires are already warm. He has to warm his up. So I can push really hard right now. If he pushes hard, he'll end up spinning. Yeah. Seems like I will indeed come out ahead of him. He's not even close to the exit. Although George Russell seems to have gotten ahead of Felipe. We've got a Mercedes now trying to ruin the good finish for both of our cars. And the Red Bulls are now fighting each other. The Mercedes is far behind, so Perez actually got ahead of Hamilton. But now Verstappen is being pressured by Perez. The Ferraris though seem to have gotten far ahead, so I was wrong, this fight actually died down quite a bit. The pace of the Ferraris is actually quite incredible. I'm surprised that the Red Bull isn't right behind them. 1 lap later and these two are still fighting, both side by side as they head into the first corner, trying to get ahead of each other. Verstappen is on the inside line as we head into the corner. He seems to have kept his position, but Perez will not back down. Verstappen goes round the outside line and I think he manages to keep the position. The Ferraris meanwhile are also battling with each other, right ahead of the Red Bulls. Carlos Sainz trying to overtake Leclerc. Leclerc does the exact same thing as Verstappen, staying on the outside line, and he retains his position. I'm still isolated in my position, far from the other cars, but there's a lot of fighting in front and behind of me. Felipe Massa is making quite a bit of ground. He's just overtaken an Alpine. I think Pierre Gasly. He makes a move work. I have to pick up my pace because George Russell is close by. And it seems that Mercedes is fast. If it's quick enough to pursue the Red Bulls, yeah, I slide right there. Almost spinning. That's not going to help my lap times at all. The Mercedes will catch up. Now I go a bit wide and end up on the curb again, going straight over it. I have to cut the corner right here. George Russell is right behind me. Okay, this has not gone as well as I thought. I'm hoping to keep this 6th position, so I will defend as hard as I possibly can. He goes round the outside, but that is a bold move. I did not see it coming. Again, a snap of oversteer. I have to counter steer to correct it. He just pulled out from behind me. I didn't see it coming. He caught me completely off guard, but I managed to keep my position. This is going to be an interesting fight, especially as we head to the main straights. I'm really struggling around these corners, and you see my teammate is now 2 seconds behind us. He's really catching up because of the fighting that the two of us ahead of him are doing. I go really wide over here, missing the apex and therefore climbing the curb. Now I'll have a Mercedes right behind me. He might overtake me even without DRS. But I will try and use the straight line speed that this car has and keep my car in the middle of the track so he cannot overtake. In the middle of this corner, he tries to go around the outside. I miss the apex, but I manage to keep the position. Down the main straight, he will have DRS. He's only 3/10 behind me. I'll try and hog the inside line, but it seems like I've kept him behind because my exit out of the corner was good. He did not have a very good exit. I'll try and not spin it around this corner. A good exit is ideal over here. Small snap of oversteer. I will be very vulnerable around these corners. This is the place where I'm losing a lot of time. But I'll try and keep it as simple as I can. Careful not to end up on the outside curb again, because that's what got this Mercedes right behind me. Thankfully I don't end up losing it on the curb, but he is following me very closely. I go very wide yet again, and now he's down the inside. He's made a move. He's ahead of me. I will try and squeeze him onto the wall and take a wide line around it. But I go wide yet again, and he's now ahead of me, but I have enough pace around the outside line.
Great maneuver. You made it look so easy.
I'm now trying to keep him behind on this very long straight or corner, whatever you want to call it. I call it a straight because there's no braking around here. Keep him on the outside line. I try and go as wide as I can. And wow, the cars behind me have actually caught up. My teammate is now overtaking the Mercedes. I did not realize I was holding them back this much. Slow around the corners as usual, but this time I managed to keep it composed despite the car wanting to go into the wall. I will block the inside line so that Russell does not come around, although it's Felipe Massa behind me. I go just a bit too wide around the corner, not expecting Felipe to come around the inside line. I tap the wall lightly, and I think I also tapped him, but I'll look at the replay to make sure, but he actually made a move where I did not expect. Fortunately, taking the wider line, this time I had traction and didn't spin the rear wheels too much. But thankfully around the outside line I had enough traction to be able to get ahead of him, and he's actually tapped me, he's pushed me off the track. I had to slightly cut the corner to prevent myself from spinning out. Thankfully I've saved it. I could have locked up, I could have spun. If he knocked me off of the race, NASCAR style, that would have been really bad for the team. Probably would have fired him since I own the team. There's one more lap ahead of us. So long as I get this corner right, I should be untouchable down the main straight. Hamilton and Perez are far ahead of us. They can actually go into the pits, get a fresh set of tires, and still be far ahead. These guys will not catch up to me because I barely have any downforce. So down the straights, this is a really quick car. Even with the rear wings open, giving them like 10 kph of extra speed, they are unable to catch me. Off onto the final lap, I'm really going to suffer down this first sector, and they're quite close. I'm in 4/10 behind me. If I make one mistake, that's it, I've been overtaken. Really hard to turn around these corners without losing the car. I'm just trying not to step onto the throttle too early. I've done that.
We've got enough fuel for 3 more laps.
Exactly what I said I would not do, I did. A second time, I lose the rear end of the car. The rear wheels are starting to become hot, and I've been overtaken by my teammate, and there's no way I'm going to catch him in this sector because I'm really struggling. I now lose the car completely over the curb, but I managed to keep ahead of the Mercedes, pushing both of us off of the track, but thankfully no penalties. I hope I'll be able to catch up to my teammates, so I'll brake as late as I possibly can. Try and get a good exit out of here. I'm starting to catch up to him. but I lose the rear end again trying to accelerate. Now for this very tricky corner, if I brake too late, I'm going to lock up. I've hit the wall. Now I'm cutting the corner. Thankfully, I'll get away even without a warning, but I did not gain any advantage. So now I should start to reel him in, especially after we get past this corner. Leclerc wins the race for Ferrari, and this seems to be a good start for the Ferrari team. But I'm pretty sure Red Bull will catch up very soon. Okay, I should have DRS equipped, but even without the DRS, I'll be able to catch up to my teammate. So I'm really starting to reel him in, and before the braking zone, okay, I'll brake late. Almost pushing him off of the track, and he's done the switcheroo, he's down the inside, but I have the superior acceleration. And it's going to be a drag race until the end of the line, but I have taken it.
All right, race over. Take care of the car on the way in.
Absolutely amazing position for both of our cars, 6th and 7th, so that's a decent amount of points, which should get us ahead of the midfield. Pretty good for our first race.
That brings the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix to a close as we reflect on the team's impressive performance today. Anthony Davidson, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
I feel like consistency was probably the key today. There's being quick, and then there's being quick lap after lap after lap. If you can do that, you can capitalise on other people's errors without making many of your own. And that's an approach that can push you a long way up the field.
Here come our winners now, a thrilling race and a tremendous effort by Ferrari. Their history is well known, so it's no surprise to fans the world over to see them come out on top once again.